She said it was just content. But it was me crying in the shower. Me breaking down over bills. Me begging Marcus to stay. She called it relatable. I called it betrayal while I was surviving. She was getting paid, the worst part? My own sister was exposing me without my permission and making money off my life. The notification came at 3 a.m. 2 million views. My face, pixelated but recognizable, in a TikTok titled "My Boring Sister Doesn't Know She's Being Filmed." The comments were brutal. Why does she walk like that? Imagine being this unaware. The secondhand embarrassment is real. I sat in my car outside the hospital after a 12-hour shift, still in scrubs, watching strangers dissect my body language. My sister Phoenix had 500,000 followers, and I'd just become her most viral content. The video showed me doing dishes, folding laundry, talking to my fiancé Marcus about our wedding plans. Normal life. Boring enough to make her famous. I could see she was online, responding to comments. She's actually sweet, just, you know. Followed by a shrugging emoji. My intimate moments, my private conversations, my relationship. All content for her digital empire. I scrolled through her profile. Video after video of me, always from hidden angles. Me crying after a bad day at work. Me arguing with Marcus about money. Me singing off-key in the shower. Each one had hundreds of thousands of views. My name is Kira. I'm 28. And I've just realized I've been living in a reality show I never auditioned for. Phoenix has always been the special one. The creative one. The one who sees the world differently. When she moved back home 6 months ago, claiming she needed to reconnect with family, our parents acted like Christmas had come early. Finally, their artistic daughter was home. I was the steady one. The one who worked double shifts to help pay for Dad's medication. The one who organized family dinners. That Phoenix would attend long enough to film, then disappear. The one who everyone called reliable like it was a consolation prize. When I announced my engagement to Marcus, Phoenix immediately volunteered to film our wedding. As my gift to you, she said, eyes bright with what I thought was genuine excitement. I've been wanting to get into wedding videography anyway. This will be perfect practice. Mom practically glowed. Phoenix always was more creative than you, Kira. How wonderful that she wants to use her talents for your special day. I found the expensive camera equipment in her room a week later. Professional lighting. Multiple lenses. A laptop with editing software that cost more than my car payment. When I asked about it, she just smiled. I told you I was taking this seriously. What I didn't know was that she'd been taking everything seriously. Every conversation, every private moment, every vulnerable second of my life was being documented, edited, and uploaded for the entertainment of strangers. The family dynamics should have been a red flag. At dinner, Phoenix would position herself to catch my candid reactions. She'd bring up topics she knew would make me emotional, then film my responses. When I got excited about wedding planning, she'd encourage me to really express myself. While her phone was conveniently recording, she'd been turning my existence into content for months, and I'd been too trusting to notice. The discovery came by accident. I was looking for my charger in Phoenix's room when I saw her laptop open, timeline visible. Hours of footage of me talking to Marcus in our kitchen, crying during a movie, brushing my teeth. The video titles were cruel. When your sister has zero personality. Boring people are fascinating. The NPC life is real. I sat down and watched myself through her eyes. Every mundane moment dissected for comedy. My morning routine became how to waste an hour getting ready to look basic. My excited phone call to mom about wedding venues became when you have no taste but endless opinions. The comments were worse. People psychoanalyzing my relationship, my appearance, my life choices. She seems sweet but I feel bad for her. Fiancé. This is what happens when you have no hobbies. Phoenix had a YouTube channel too. Living with My Basic Sister was a series. I was the unwitting star of content I didn't even know existed. The description read, "Ever wonder what it's like to be completely ordinary? Follow along as I document life with my wonderfully normal sister." I scrolled through months of videos. My private breakdowns about work stress. My insecurities about the wedding. My quiet moments with Marcus that I thought were sacred. All of it packaged, edited, and monetized. The analytics showed my pain was profitable. Videos of me crying got 3 times more engagement than her regular content. My vulnerable moments were literally her golden goose. She had a spreadsheet tracking which types of my emotional content performed best. Here a relationship drama was her top earning category. The most viewed video was titled "My Sister Doesn't Know She's Being Filmed," the wedding edition. It wasn't even posted yet, just scheduled for next week. The thumbnail showed me in my wedding dress, looking anxious during a fitting, was going to be content on my wedding day, whether I knew it or not. The scheduled video went live while I was at work. My sister doesn't know she's being filmed. The wedding edition exploded across social media. The footage showed me having a panic attack about the catering, crying about the guest list, and fighting with Marcus about his bachelor party plans. Why lunch? I had 17 missed calls from relatives. My coworkers were showing me memes with my face. Someone had created a TikTok sound using my voice saying, "I just want everything to be perfect." It was being used ironically in thousands of videos. Became the anxious bride meme overnight. My vulnerability, my fears about the biggest day of my life, had been packaged into entertainment. The comments were brutal. "She's so high maintenance. Poor Marcus. Imagine being this stressed about a basic wedding." The worst part was seeing my coworkers' faces change. Sarah from pediatrics, who used to chat with me during breaks, now looked at me with pity mixed with amusement. "You're the anxious bride girl," she said, not unkindly, but like I'd become a character instead of a person. Doctor Martinez, my supervisor, called me into his office. "Kira, you know I support you, but some of the other staff are distracted. Maybe take a few days off until this blows over?" I wasn't suspended, but I wasn't welcomed either. I'd become the hospital's entertainment, the nurse whose private breakdown was everyone's lunch break content. Phoenix called me that evening, voice bright with fake concern. "Kira, I'm so sorry about how this blew up. I really thought people would relate to wedding stress. I never expected it to go this viral." "You never expected it?" I asked quietly. "You literally titled it, 'My Sister Doesn't Know She's Being Filmed.'" "I meant it as a joke," she said. "You know how internet humor works. People love authentic moments. Authentic moments. Like my private breakdown about whether Marcus really loved me was just content for strangers to laugh at." That night, I found merchandise on her website. T-shirts with quotes from my videos. "I just want everything to be perfect" mugs. A phone case with my pixelated face and the words "Basic Sister." Energy. She was profiting from my humiliation, and everyone thought it was hilarious. It was a Tuesday when I finally snapped. I'd come home from another awkward day at work to find Phoenix setting up a ring light in our kitchen. She was filming herself, making coffee, talking to the camera about living with someone who doesn't understand the creator economy. I stood in the doorway, watching her perform. She was telling her audience about how some people just don't get that content creation is real work and how family should be supportive of each other's dreams. My dreams. When had anyone asked about my dreams? I walked toward her, words forming in my throat. "Phoenix, we need to talk." She looked up, annoyed at the interruption. "Kira, I'm filming. Can this wait?" "No," I said, stepping closer. "It can't wait. You've been filming me without my permission. You've been making money off my private moments. You've turned my life into entertainment. For a second, her mask slipped. I saw calculation in her eyes, then she smiled. You're being dramatic. It's just family content. Everyone does it. I never consented to this, I said, louder now. I never agreed to be your content. She kept the camera rolling. Of course she did. Even this confrontation was potential content. Kira, you're upset, and I get it. But maybe we can talk about this off camera? But I was already backing away. I could see it in her eyes, she was planning to use this footage. My anger, my hurt, my moment of standing up for myself would become my sister confronted me about. My content with a thumbnail of my furious face, I walked away. I almost had her. I almost said everything I needed to say. But I couldn't give her the satisfaction of using my pain as content one more time. That night, I lay in bed realizing I'd been silenced by my own understanding of how she operated. She'd trained me to swallow my words, to avoid giving her ammunition, but silence, I was learning, could be a weapon too. The real isolation began at Dad's birthday dinner. Phoenix had posted a video the week before titled "When Your Family Doesn't Support Your Dreams," painting herself as the misunderstood artist dealing with jealous relatives. Mom pulled me aside in the kitchen. Kira, honey, you know your sister lives off this content. You can't be so hard on her. She's just trying to make a living. By exploiting me, I said quietly. By sharing your family's story, Mom corrected. You're being selfish. This is bigger than you. My Aunt Lisa, who'd driven 3 hours for the dinner, laughed when she saw me. Oh my God, you're the anxious bride. My daughter showed me your videos. You're so dramatic, it's hilarious. I excused myself to the bathroom and heard my cousin Emma on the phone. Yeah, she's here. She's not as funny in person, but she's got that same energy. Should I film her? I left early, claiming a headache. As I drove home, I realized I'd lost more than my privacy. I'd lost my family's ability to see me as anything other than content. Phoenix's narrative had one. I was the boring, dramatic, jealous sister who couldn't handle her success. Any resistance I showed just proved her point. The wedding was 3 days away when I overheard Phoenix and Marcus talking in the kitchen. I'd come home early from work, and they didn't hear me come in. The ceremony footage is going to be incredible, Phoenix was saying. I've got cameras positioned everywhere. The reactions, the emotions, it's going to be my biggest video yet. I still feel weird about this, Marcus said. She doesn't know about any of it. She doesn't need to know, Phoenix replied. Look, Marcus, this is going to make us both. The authentic wedding content market is huge. This video could get 10 million views easy. The brand partnerships alone will set us up. Us. Both. You signed the contract, Phoenix continued. 50-50 split on everything. Ad revenue, sponsorships, merchandise. 1 day of filming for a lifetime of financial freedom. I pressed myself against the wall, listening to them plan my wedding like it was a business venture. Marcus, my fiancé, the man I was supposed to marry in 3 days, had signed a contract to help Phoenix film me without my knowledge. What if she finds out? Marcus asked. She won't, Phoenix said confidently. She's not exactly observant. Besides, even if she does, what's she going to do? Cancel the wedding? She's too invested, too anxious about disappointing everyone. She'll go through with it. The pre-wedding footage is already performing well, Marcus said, and I heard papers rustling. The dress-fitting video has 2 million views. The bachelor party drama got 3 million. See? She doesn't understand algorithms, but you do. We frame her emotions right, and this wedding becomes a content goldmine. The breakdown, the joy, the family drama, it's all sellable. What about after? Marcus asked. The honeymoon content? Oh, we'll milk this for months, Phoenix laughed. Newlywed drama, adjustment issues, maybe some conflict about starting a family. Kira's going to be the gift that keeps giving. They were right. I was too invested. Too worried about the deposits, the guests, the embarrassment. But as I stood there listening to them discuss my life like it was a TV show, something shifted. Inside me, I wasn't going to be content anymore. I was going to be the producer. I spent that night going through my laptop, my phone, Marcus's things. I found the contract in his gym bag, 12 pages of detailed agreements about filming rights, revenue sharing, and content distribution. My wedding, my honeymoon, my future children, all outlined as potential content streams. There were text messages between them dating back months. Screenshots of my most vulnerable moments with analytics attached. This one of Kira crying about her dad's health got 800K views. We need more medical family drama content. Marcus had been feeding Phoenix information about my insecurities, my fears, my private conversations with him. She's really worried about the wedding costs. Can you film her looking at the budget? The financial stress content always performs. Well, I found staged conversations too. Times when Marcus had deliberately started fights with me while Phoenix was recording. Arguments about money, about the wedding, about my work schedule, all carefully orchestrated to capture my reactions. The most damning evidence was a voice memo from Phoenix to Marcus. Remember, we need her to seem overwhelmed but not too smart. The audience likes her vulnerable but not threatening. If she gets too articulate about her feelings, it doesn't play as well. Keep her emotional, keep her reactive. They'd been manipulating me for months, turning my relationship into a performance I didn't know I was giving. I spent the next 2 days preparing. Not for my wedding, for my response. I gathered every piece of evidence I could find. Screenshots of Phoenix's analytics showing my face in thumbnails. Records of the merchandise sales. The contract Marcus had signed. Comments from followers who recognized me in public. Also did something Phoenix had never expected. I started creating my own content, set up a new social media account under a pseudonym and began exposing the influencer fraud industry. I documented Phoenix's methods, the hidden cameras, the staged scenarios, the way she manipulated situations to get better footage. I showed the body doubles she used when she couldn't get authentic shots of me. I found other victims too. People whose lives had been turned into content without their consent. Family members, friends, romantic partners, all feeding the content machine of influencers who saw them as material rather than people. My series The Real Cost of Authentic Content started gaining traction. People were hungry for the truth behind the carefully curated lives they'd been consuming. I showed them the manipulation, the exploitation, the way ordinary people's pain was being monetized for entertainment, but I also documented the personal cost. The isolation. The way being turned into content changes how people see you. The way your authentic self becomes a performance, even when you're not trying to perform. Phoenix's follower count started dropping. Brands began pulling sponsorships. Comments on her videos shifted from admiration to criticism. This is fake. She's exploiting her sister. This is actually disturbing. She came to me the night before the wedding, panicked. Kira, what are you doing? You're ruining everything I've built. I'm not ruining anything, I said calmly. I'm just giving people the content they actually want. The truth. The wedding didn't happen. I called it off 12 hours before the ceremony with a simple text to both Phoenix and Marcus. I know about the contract. I know about everything. The wedding is cancelled. For 3 days, I disappeared. I stayed in a hotel, ignoring calls, messages, the frantic knocking on my door. I almost wavered. Almost convinced myself I was overreacting. What if I was being too cruel? What if destroying Phoenix's career would destroy me too? But then Phoenix posted a video that changed everything. My sister exposed me after I loved her went live while I was getting coffee. The thumbnail showed Phoenix crying, with text overlay, betrayed by family. The video was a masterclass in manipulation. She painted herself as the victim, the creative sister who'd only wanted to share her family's joy with the world. I never meant to hurt Kira, she said, tears streaming down her face. I thought I was celebrating her, showing the world how beautiful ordinary life can be. I thought she'd be proud of the content we created together. The comments were sympathetic. Your sister is jealous of your success. Family should support each other. She's just bitter because she's not creative. But Phoenix made one mistake. She left the camera running after she thought she'd finished recording. I watched as she immediately stopped crying, checked her phone, and called someone. Yeah, the video's up. This should shift the narrative back to me being the victim. People love a good betrayal story. I recorded her post-video behavior. I documented her calculating smile as she read the supportive comments. I caught her practicing her devastated sister expression in the mirror. The next day, I released a compilation video, The Real Phoenix, What She Doesn't Want You to See. It showed her authentic self, the manipulation, the calculation, the way she could turn emotions on and off like a switch. The internet loves a good villain redemption story, but they love exposing a fake victim even more. A week later, I released the full documentary. Not at the venue, not with fanfare, just uploaded quietly to multiple platforms simultaneously. The real cost of authentic content went viral within hours. Major networks started calling. The real story wasn't my boring life, it was how my sister had turned my privacy into profit. The documentary included everything. The hidden camera footage. The contract. The text messages between Phoenix and Marcus. The manipulation tactics. The way ordinary people's lives were being harvested for content without their knowledge or consent, but the most powerful part was the interviews with other victims. The mother whose postpartum depression was turned into authentic mommy content. The elderly man whose confusion about technology became viral grandpa content. The teenager whose coming out story was exploited by a family member for Pride Month engagement. Marcus begged me to take him back. I was just trying to help us financially, he said. I thought you'd understand once you saw the money. But I couldn't marry someone who saw me as content. Someone who would sign a contract to exploit me. Someone who thought my trust was worth less than viral fame. The documentary sparked a movement. #consent to content started trending. People began questioning the ethics of family vloggers, relationship content creators, and authentic influencers who built their brands on other people's private moments. Phoenix tried to salvage her career by playing victim. My sister is trying to destroy me, she posted. All I ever did was share our family's story. But the evidence was overwhelming. The hidden cameras, the manipulation, the merchandise, it all painted a picture of calculated exploitation. The backlash was swift and brutal. Phoenix lost sponsorships, followers, and credibility. Her talent agency dropped her. The merchandise featuring my face was pulled from stores after legal threats, but the personal cost was higher. Our parents finally understood what had been happening, and the guilt was eating them alive. Dad called me, crying. I'm so sorry, Kira. We thought we were supporting her dreams. We didn't realize she was hurting you. Mom was angry at everyone. At Phoenix for lying, at Marcus for betraying me, at herself for not protecting me. I failed you, she said. I chose her success over your privacy. The family dinners stopped. Phoenix moved out of the house. Marcus moved back in with his parents. I found myself alone, but for the first time in months, my solitude felt like freedom instead of isolation. The documentary won awards. I became an advocate for digital privacy rights. I started a foundation to help families affected by influencer exploitation. I testified before Congress about the need for consent laws in content creation, but there were dark moments too. Phoenix's followers, the ones who still believed her victim narrative, began targeting me. They found my workplace, my address, my friends. They created fake accounts to harass me. They sent death threats. I had to move apartments 3 times. I changed my phone number. I learned to vary my routes to work. The price of standing up for myself was constant vigilance. Phoenix still tried to create content. She posted videos to 17 followers, desperately attempting to recreate her former success. Her latest video, "My Sister Destroyed My Life," had 3 comments. She filmed herself at the retail store where she worked now, trying to make mundane tasks look interesting for an audience that no longer existed, but she couldn't stop. She was addicted to the validation, the metrics, the hope that maybe the next video would go viral. She'd record herself crying about her situation, then delete it when it got no views. She'd try to recreate the content that had made her famous. But without me as her unwitting star, she had nothing interesting to say. The most pathetic part was watching her try to exploit new people. Her coworkers, her few remaining friends, strangers on the street, everyone became potential content. But people were wise to her tactics now. They'd seen the documentary. They knew what she was capable of. I watched her social media presence slowly die. Not with satisfaction, but with a strange sadness. She built her entire identity around being a content creator, and without that identity, she didn't know who she was. 6 months after the documentary's release, Phoenix tried one final manipulation. She sent a message to my new phone number, which she'd somehow obtained. "Kira, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. I've been thinking about what I did to you, and I realize now how wrong I was. I was so caught up in the success that I forgot you were my sister, not just content. I know I can't undo the damage, but I want to make it right. I've been working on a new video series called Making Amends, where I genuinely apologize to people I've hurt. Would you be willing to be part of it? We could split the profits 50-50ths. I think people would really connect with a genuine reconciliation. Story, I miss you, Kira. I miss having a sister." I stared at the message for a long time. Even her apology was a pitch for content. Even her genuine remorse was a business proposal. She was offering to split the profits of exploiting our reconciliation, completely oblivious to the fact that monetizing her apology proved she hadn't learned anything. I screenshotted the message and posted it to my advocacy account with the caption, "This is why we need consent laws. Some people will never stop seeing others as content." The post went viral. Phoenix's final attempt at manipulation became evidence of exactly why her behavior was so problematic. The message was analyzed by media critics, shared by other advocacy groups, and used as an example in presentations about digital exploitation. I never responded to Phoenix directly. But my silence spoke louder than any words could have. I found love again, with someone who values privacy as much as I do. Someone who would never turn my vulnerable moments into entertainment. Dr. Sarah Chin worked in the legal department of a major hospital, helping to draft patient privacy policies. She understood the value of confidentiality, the importance of consent, the way exposure could damage someone's soul. Our relationship was the opposite of what I'd had with Marcus. Sarah asked permission before posting even the most innocent photos of us together. She respected my boundaries around social media, never pressuring me to be more shareable or authentic online. When I told her about Phoenix, about the documentary, about the year of my life that had been turned into content, she listened without judgment. "Your story helped change laws," she said. "But more importantly, it helped you reclaim your narrative." We had a small, private wedding. No cameras. No social media posts. No documentation beyond our own memories and a few photos we kept to ourselves. It was the first major life event I'd experienced in years that wasn't performed for an audience, the privacy felt luxurious. Decadent. Revolutionary, the documentary's impact extended far beyond my personal story. It sparked a broader conversation about consent in the digital age, about the ethics of family content creation, about the way social media platforms profit from intimate moments they didn't create. Other victims came forward. The Real Cost of Authentic Content documentary series expanded to include dozens of stories. The wife whose husband filmed her postpartum struggles. The teenager whose parents monetized their coming-out journey. The elderly woman whose dementia symptoms became viral grandma content. Congress passed the Digital Consent Act, requiring explicit permission for anyone to be featured in monetized content. Platforms were required to verify consent, especially for family members and romantic partners. The law wasn't perfect, but it was a start. I testified at the hearings, sitting across from representatives who'd grown up thinking privacy was optional. Content creation has become a billion-dollar industry, I told them. But it's built on the unpaid labor and unwitting participation of ordinary people who never agreed to become performers. The law passed with bipartisan support. The first major case prosecuted under the new statute was against a family vlogger who'd been monetizing their children's private moments. The precedent was set: other people's lives are not your content. I never asked to be the face of anything. But I couldn't unsee what I'd lived through, and silence felt like complicity. If telling my story gave someone else the courage to say no, then maybe all that pain served a purpose. 2 years later, I live quietly. No social media presence. No public appearances unless they're about advocacy work. I've helped dozens of families escape the content creation cycle, and I've lobbied for laws protecting unwitting participants in social media content. Phoenix and I don't speak anymore. Not because I'm angry, anger requires energy I don't want to spend. But because silence has become precious to me. The knowledge that my private moments are actually private. That my conversations aren't being recorded. That my pain isn't being packaged for profit. I learned something important through all of this: the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's evolution. I didn't destroy Phoenix's life, I grew beyond her ability to exploit mine. People ask me if I miss having a sister. The truth is, I never really had one. What I had was a content creator who happened to share my DNA. A person who saw me as material rather than family. Someone who confused intimacy with access. Now I have something better: boundaries. Privacy. A life that belongs to me. The influencer economy is still growing. People are still turning their families into content. But there are laws now, protections. That didn't exist before. Consent requirements. Age restrictions. Financial transparency rules. Last month, I got a notification that Phoenix had tagged me in a post. For a moment, my heart raced. Was she trying to pull me back into her content cycle? But when I looked, it was just a simple message: I'm sorry. No video. No monetization. No audience. Just 2 words on a platform where she had 12 followers. I didn't respond. Not because I haven't forgiven her, but because some conversations don't need to happen. Some silences are more meaningful than words. I stayed quiet for years while she turned my life into entertainment. Now I choose when to speak and when to remain silent. Privacy isn't just about what you don't share, it's about choosing who deserves access to your authentic self. If this reminded you of someone, maybe yourself, remember, your life is not content. Your pain is not entertainment. Your privacy is not a product to be sold. And sometimes, the most powerful response is simply refusing to perform.